Hey Star Wars fans, this is Urban Acolyte TV. My name is Prince, and today I have a question for all of you. What do we really know about Darth Plagueis? Now, I'm asking this because ever since concept images were released at least a year ago, the fandom started buzzing that Darth Plagueis would be the villain in The Force Awakens. Of course, when we found out that the person leading the First Order was Supreme Leader Snoke, a faction of the fandom became very vocal with their belief that Supreme Leader Snoke is actually Darth Plagueis. Now, I've stated this in several videos. I can't see any solid evidence on why Snoke would be Darth Plagueis at all. And I decided that I'd just go to Pablo Hidalgo and ask him, what do we really know about Plagueis? And I mentioned to him that as I go back through the Plagueis novel, I find things that don't support the current continuity. Now, in my head when I see this stuff, I say, well, Prince, that's simple. This book isn't canon, so it doesn't have to support the canon. So when we start to talk about what we know about Darth Plagueis, the Plagueis novel is not a reliable source for that information. It contradicts what actually is canon. And if anyone talks about the story of Darth Plagueis, they have to be clear on if they're talking about the legend story of Darth Plagueis or if they're talking about what is actually canon. So the only reliable sources of information on Plagueis come from Revenge of the Sith and the Tarkin novel. And in the movie and in the book, the only person with any knowledge of Plagueis is his apprentice, Darth Sidious. So what does Darth Sidious have to say about Plagueis? Well, for starters, he tells Anakin about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Now, according to Sidious, this is an old Sith legend. So the old Sith legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise goes like this. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the Sith who was so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. Now, Anakin asked Palpatine if Plagueis could even save people from death. Palpatine's reply is only that the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Now, take note. Did Palpatine actually answer Anakin's question? No, he didn't. So Anakin then asks the fate of Plagueis, and Palpatine says that, well, Plagueis became so powerful that the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which he did. He taught his apprentice everything he knew, and then his apprentice killed him in his sleep. And so the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise is that he could save others from death, but not himself. So what happens next? Anakin asks if it is possible to learn this power. And how does Palpatine reply? Not from a Jedi. This entire conversation was a lure. Palpatine was baiting Anakin. But let's continue. What else does Episode 3 have to say about Plagueis? When Anakin swears himself to the Sith, Palpatine tells Anakin that to cheat death is a power only one has achieved. But if they work together, he knows that they can discover the secret. Now I need you all to put on your thinking caps. Let's look at this critically. Palpatine says that only one has achieved the power to cheat death. Is he talking about Plagueis, or is there another Sith Lord who achieved that power? This is a serious question that needs answering because earlier Palpatine didn't say that Plagueis could cheat death. He told Anakin that Plagueis had such a knowledge of the dark side that he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying. If Palpatine is referring to Plagueis, then cheating death doesn't mean to become immortal or to resurrect oneself. In this context, cheating death means using the Force to keep other people from dying. And if it means anything other than this, based on Palpatine's statement, then Plagueis could not cheat death. And Palpatine is talking about someone else. The next thing we have to examine is this. If Plagueis had the knowledge to keep the ones he cared about from dying, and he taught his apprentice everything he knew, And why does Palpatine not know how to cheat death, since he was the apprentice who murdered Darth Plagueis? Now, at the time of Revenge of the Sith, when it was released, we didn't know that Palpatine was the apprentice in the story, but the Target novel confirms his apprenticeship under Plagueis. The fact is that the only person with any knowledge of Plagueis is Palpatine, and he can spin any tale about Plagueis that he wants in order to suit his needs. And in this case, he spun an intricate tale of Darth Plagueis only to finally seduce Anakin to the dark side after he'd been grooming him for over a decade to become his apprentice. Furthermore, have you noticed that Palpatine says the legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise? He says it's an old Sith legend. But how old can the legend be when Palpatine was his apprentice? So what does the Tarkin novel have to say about Darth Plagueis? The Tarkin novel mentions Darth Plagueis a total of 7 times. And according to the Tarkin novel, Palpatine was still the apprentice of Darth Plagueis when he was appointed Naboo's representative to the Republic Senate. And even though Palpatine referred to Plagueis as a careful planner and as a prophet, his master had never foreseen his apprentice would become the Emperor. After his death, Palpatine took possession of Plagueis' droid 114D. There's no mention of Plagueis having the ability to keep his loved ones alive. As a matter of fact, the novel sort of implies that Plagueis was against becoming personally involved in trivial matters, as Plagueis had lusted after immortality. As for teaching his apprentice everything he knew, we learned that Sidious and Plagueis worked together to coax the final secrets of the dark side. This last secret was something past Sith Lords lusted after, the means to harness the powers of the dark side to reshape reality itself, in effect, to fashion a universe of their own creation. Plagueis sought to use the ritual only to ensure that he would become immortal, but Palpatine wanted to use the ritual to rule the galaxy. And just what was this ritual? Whatever it was, it could only be performed at the Sith shrine under the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. No Sith had been inside that shrine in close to 5,000 years. And this would have been before the Scourge of Malachor, when there were possibly thousands of Jedi and thousands of Sith in the known galaxy. The ritual required 2 Sith, one to serve as bait for the dark side and the other to be the vessel. Success would grant them the power to harness the full powers of the dark side and allow them to rule for 10,000 years. So outside of this information supplied by Palpatine, we know little else about Darth Plagueis. We don't know if he actually could cheat death or keep others alive. And given the context of those statements, it is possible that Palpatine only said them to bait Anakin into becoming his apprentice. Now I realize that what I'm saying here may contradict with what your favorite Star Wars YouTube channel might say, but when it comes to Darth Plagueis, the only story of Darth Plagueis is the one Palpatine tells us. Now I realize this won't make some of you stop believing that Snoke is Plagueis, or that Plagueis somehow survived his apparent death. And it's not my intention to make you believe anything. I only want to supply you with good information to allow you to jump to your own conclusion. But now I'd like to hear from you. Do you believe that Darth Plagueis could cheat death, or was Darth Sidious talking about someone else? And how would you feel if the person who actually could cheat death turned out to be Supreme Leader Snoke? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to click that subscribe button down below so that you can stay notified when I get my next video posted. I also post the latest Star Wars news in my HoloNet Underground series. I do reviews of Star Wars Rebels on Thursdays, fan question videos on Fridays, and the Real Life Jedi series on Mondays. Well, that's all I've got for now. Thank you for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the Force be with you. Bye.